Standup Accelerator Workshop recap number 53. I guess we're over a year. If it mattered, I would count up the exact days that if we missed things, like it's overtime in soccer or extra time, whatever the Europeans call that crazy concept. But we are into our 53rd week of actually meeting. And August 23rd, it's over 100 degrees in Texas, which, just get used to that. For those who want to move here after they've been to ACL, it's like, oh, this place is great. Come here and get fried. Literally. So in housekeeping, we start out by going over again the idea of the Hollywood studio system that I'm setting up for stand-ups. If you're interested in it, hit me up. Go online. I've got a description of it and everything on the Standup Accelerator Facebook private group, so make sure you join that. We start with the career section, which was thin this week. Nobody really had anything super interesting in career. I think Stu is starting to get up and host more around town. He's looking to do more professionalized or more career-oriented stand-up because he's out of work. It's like 5 people in the workshop who've lost their jobs in the last month or two. Maybe that's telling me something about the economy. I don't know. The lifeboat of stand-up comedy is a little leaky, I would say, if you're looking to make money instantly, especially in Austin. But it's at least good to see people thinking that way. So this was our 4th and final week on Crowdwork, which, if you've been following along at all, is a very interesting concept within stand-up. It's always been there, but stand-up is always a collision of monologue, which is the performer gets up there, has script, it's a routine, they run it the same way every time, they add little things, take things out, but it's memorized and it's routine, and that becomes like their special. But it's monologue, nobody else talks. Then over here is dialogue comedy, which is also very common in comedy clubs. Stand-up kind of started in vaudeville when you were a host and you had to work the room and keep everybody warmed up and involved and controlled. So it's always been part of stand-up. Lately, people have gotten more interested in it because it plays well online. There's a lot of conflict that occurs in dialogue, a lot of surprise, often much more real than monologue. So people find it very interesting. So somewhere on the continuum of straight all monologue stand-up and straight all dialogue stand-up, which you can do, and I often do when I do stand-up anymore, there's something in the middle of mixing those together. And that's become, I would say, the dominant form these days. So we talked a bit about the difference in those two and getting prepped for those. Right now we're doing Crowdwork, which is the ultimate dialogue format for stand-up. And again, you're trying to somewhere go kind of like depending on what the venue wants, the booker, the people that are paying you. Some venues don't like dialogue comedy because it does have certain types of failure that you don't find in straight up monologue comedy. When you're doing dialogue, you can offend people. Sometimes if you're not particularly good at it, it's kind of flat. And if you do it for too much and too long, it loses its magic. And people feel like, oh, I came here to watch a show, not to watch you just have conversations with people. On the other hand, the upsides, like if you have a dead audience, a difficult venue, things like that, Crowdwork can just add so much real energy to the room. And if you're good at it, which means you can do it fast, it's as dense as monologue with the punchlines and the humor. It's got the extra gear of people being impressed by watching it all happen in the moment. So it has ups and downs, but venues make choices. Basically, one of the reasons I stopped doing cruises is because I found that as a monologist, I'm pretty much just monologue. I just talk. And I do facial expressions and all the small performance things. But I was working in massive theaters, like 1,000-seat theaters. And without much visuality or big character or colors or stuff to do, the audience sometimes gets bored. They're far away from you and they need big visuality. It's a big theater. And that's not really what I do. So I would default to Crowdwork, which worked very well. But the venues, the boats, and a lot of times that's not what they thought they were hiring. They were hiring a monologist. And I'm like, yeah, so I get it. That's probably not my career path. It was super fun to do for a while. I didn't really want to keep doing it more than a year anyway. But you do get down shows if you're just doing monologue and it doesn't have enough of the theatrical side and the variety side. So this week, our 4th week on Crowdwork, we did positive only crowd work. And what that means is that a lot of crowd work, a lot of comedy in general is negative, and so it bleeds over into crowd work, where if somebody says something to you, you insult them, or they insult you, and it goes back and forth, and hopefully the comedian's the funniest insulter, and so they win. And roast battles and things like that are all based on that concept, which is fine. If you want to do negative crowd work, awesome. I've seen some people that are amazing at it. Lots of people pop to mind, but the pit bull of comedy, I've never can remember his name. I always blank on it. But he's an older guy now, and he used to run people out of the room because he was so fast and so intense with the negative things that he would say about them. They would just leave. So there are 4 things that make positive only crowd work work. There are 4 parts to it. Number 1, set the vibe. And I modeled this in class. And what that means is that you're basically presetting the environment to be positive and to be fully open to other people interacting. So a lot of times I walk up and I split the crowd. I'm like, people over here, how are you doing? People over here, how are you doing? People in the middle. And I usually have some kind of bit built into it. But I'm being very friendly. I have energy. I'm very gregarious to people. I smile a lot. I'm putting a lot of friendliness into the room because that's the vibe I want to set. So you have to do some kind of vibe setting, and that usually means pick an emotion that you can do on stage, that you can demonstrate, because you demonstrating the emotion is what creates the emotion. You just telling people, hey, get more energy, come on everybody, doesn't do anything. You have to model it. So find an emotion and a vibe that you like and that you're comfortable portraying with intensity and visuality and vocality, and do that to start the set, because that sets a much friendlier, more emotional, more energized environment to do crowd work in. Second, create a relationship or multiple relationships even. You got everybody vibing. Now grab somebody in the audience, look at them, address them directly, find out their name, and then start your crowd work with them. Everybody thinks crowd work is the give and take, but a lot of times it's, can you set a good relationship before you really start doing the give and take, the information gathering. And that means praise them, all the things that go into a good relationship. Express gratitude, say thanks for taking part here. Find something you like about them and comment on it. You do the work of creating a safe relationship for them to talk to. And you're directly focused on them. Like, it's fast, you're leaning forward, you got a body orientation, eye contact, all the things that tell people, oh, this person is focused on me and is interested in talking to me. The third step is to gather and give information. So it's information gathering. And again, this is done at speed. You ask interesting questions and then fast follow-up probes to get details so that you can instantly turn that into comedy. Generic answers are hard to turn into comedy. Specifics are very easy to turn into comedy. If you ask somebody what they do and they say, well, I repair old Italian mopeds, like, okay, so just old Italians who drive these mopeds. But the fact that they give you adjectives and images and nouns and very specific things to play with makes the comedy much easier. Finally, that's the fourth part, is create instant comedy. This one intimidates everybody, is they think that, they have to be super funny instantly. And how do you do that? Well, you do that when you've done the first 3 parts right. Get the room vibed, create a good relationship. Now you've got information to work with. And now you turn your comedian brain loose on it, which means you stack punchlines, tags, act outs, and more questions. And everything with the idea that I'm creating comedy in this moment. I'm not asking more. I'm not just talking. I'm doing punchlines. And the more you can do, more punches you can do, the better. So if you can stack these, like somebody gives you a piece of information and you're like punch, 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 then it starts to become, again, very dense comedy, which is what clubs want. So the rest of the workshop, we jumped into our 4-person, or the next step, we jumped into our 4-person staff, and everybody tried to work and script out their vibe, relationship, information, comedy model, the VRIC model. Just a little bit, just to get a sense of how they think they might want to plan it. So they're not going up there expecting their brain just to remember all of it. And again, this is speed learning. I'm telling people a lot of information really fast, and I'm giving them a quick 5-7 minutes to work on it. And then we jump up on stage and start practicing it. And within that speed learning, as you would expect, a lot of people are freezing up because they can't get the 4 stages separated in their mind. They skip a stage and go right to questions, or they start out right with comedy without any questions at all. They don't create a real relationship with somebody. So they miss a lot of things. And we probably had, I don't know, 10, 15 people go up. There's 30 people at the workshop. And everybody kept going up and trying it. And when they would do well, I would shut up. And when they start to falter, I would stop them and go, let's reset and you try that again. My favorite was Negative Nick. Nick is a guy in the workshop who's been here quite a bit. And most of his comedy is insult comedy. Like he comes back with shots at people and with shots at things, which a lot of comedy is that these days, especially in stand-up, especially in Austin, which is fine. If it's great comedy, I don't care if it's positive or negative. But we were practicing positive-only comedy, so it was fun to watch Nick try to force himself to do positive comedy, non-negative. Don't let yourself do insults or zings or things like that, because it's a super resource. You don't want to make your living always fighting with the audience. You want to make your living with people become your fans, not because they're fans of watching you, deal with somebody else in a negative way, but fans because they just like you and they like your comedy. Finally, yeah, as an ongoing pedagogy thought about this stuff is hard to learn. I've been doing it for, almost 40 years now, going on stages. And I was a professor too, and I teach communication. So I understand dialogue and conversation and crowd work. But literally the first 5 years I was in stand-up, I did zero crowd work. Just because a lot of people are this way. I didn't really understand the format very well. I didn't understand stand-up that well. I was just trying to write some material that would work. And so I focused heavily on monologue and getting the script right. Once I realized that you take a lot of pressure off yourself if you have all these other skills that support stand-up, I got much better as a stand-up comedian because now I would talk to people. And I like talking to people, and I think it shows. I like learning about people, and that sort of infuses the dialogue comedy that I do in crowd work. But give yourself time and break it into its parts. Try to learn each part. Go up and practice it when you can. Even if you're just practicing one part of it, it doesn't matter. And slowly learn it, because like most things in life that are human and complex, you can't really do consumption learning. They tell you, 4-hour mastery or take this one master class. Yeah, you actually need to get up and do it and let it settle down into your brain, create new neural pathways that you can then start to use intuitively. It takes a bit. So finally, that ends up the month of crowdwork training. Super fun. I enjoyed it a lot. We're not going to meet next week on August 30th because the club has a private event all day. So starting the next week on September 6th, we're going to do a month of training on performance techniques specifically for stand-up comics. So all the things that go into making pro comics interesting to watch and listen to, regardless of script, makes no difference. But what are they doing with their voice, their face, their body, their hands, the way they dress, all these things that bring people in visually and auditorily into the experience, because that's one of the major distinguishing factors you find with early comics versus really seasoned comics. Seasoned comics are performance machines. They're doing so much to make you laugh that goes beyond the script that you start to become very, very respectful of the power of acting and visuality, even though stand-up is a verbal and script dominated format. Okay, there you go. That's the workshop recap. We'll see you again next time, and then we'll start on turning you into great performers. Great performers.